Welcome to the Wildcast podcast, coming to you from Wildcast Studios with your hosts Adam Lund and Jeremy Boucher.
Oh, welcome to the Wildcast Studios for another episode of Wildcast Podcast, your unofficial voice for all things Moncton Wildcats, presented by Alpha's Appliance Solutions. Right now, they've got the Black Friday Kitchen Savings Event until December 6th. Save $150 when you purchase 2 qualifying kitchen appliances, or save $300 when you buy 3. As well, they've got the Black Friday Laundry Savings Event until December 6th. Save $100 when you purchase two eligible Whirlpool or Maytag laundry appliances. I am your host, Adam Lund. I am joined by your favorite co-hoster and writer for Rocket Sports, who's got another article coming out this week. Mr. Jeremy Boucher, have you warmed up from the parade?
Man, was that ever cold. It was, personally myself, I wasn't cold. Mm-hmm. But when you start standing in the same spot for 2 hours, it gets cold. And
there's only like -6, but it's that wind chill that finds the places in you and makes you cold.
And I think we were standing in the only spot of Main Street where there's no buildings across from us. So the wind was crossing the river and onto the Moncton side, and it just made it a lot more cold. But I went home and had a nice hot chocolate and warmed up fairly quickly and really took advantage of the heat, the fireplace. Yeah.
Do you have any money left from Black Friday and Cyber Monday?
I didn't buy nothing.
Oh, you didn't buy nothing?
No,
Really?
It's just a scam. Black Friday is really, some of these stores have had Black Friday deals for a month now.
Yeah.
You know, and it's you spend so much, and then you know. It comes to a point where you just don't even realize how much money you spent.
No, and now they do it more so that you don't have all those, like, more so in the States because they have Black Friday, we have Boxing Day. It's the same kind of deal. But down there, they used to have, like, everyone rushing to the door and the fights and everything. And now everyone's trying to extend that Black Friday to get your business, to eliminate some of those crazy deals. But I figured maybe you did some Cyber Monday shopping. No, I didn't. I'm actually not. I haven't bought a single. Well, I bought your Christmas present. I bought one of Layla's this weekend. And the rest of it, I'm just waiting until we head to Alberta. Because then we don't have to pack it. Then we don't have to put it on a plane. Then we just save the 10% tax when we get there instead of 15%. So
I'm not stepping foot into a store. Except for stocking stuff, I'm not stepping foot in a store.
Oh, really?
Yep. Everything all online. If I need a gift card, I'll go to the gas station where they have a big wall of gift cards and say, I want this for this much money. I'll pay for it there. They'll activate it on the spot. I am not going to the mall.
We are just so different. I got no problems going. I love going to the mall. I love Christmas shopping.
I avoid it like the plague.
Does Megan avoid the mall, or is she the?
She's online too. She'll go. She shops.
Is that just this time of year, or in general, if you can avoid the mall, you'll avoid it?
I used to go to the mall religiously, like every day, where if I was off, I would, this is for Megan.
Yeah.
But, I had a routine where I work my 5 days a week, but on my days off, I would just go walk at the mall. That was my day. Those were my days off. And I don't think I've been to the mall. I was at the mall maybe a month ago, and I can't remember prior to that the last time I went.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm not a big mall guy anymore.
Yeah, we go to the Walmart. That's not really a mall, but we go to that. But I will go to the mall to do most of my Christmas shopping. Usually when we're staying here, I get it done by going to the mall, going to all the stores. I like going to the stores. I like being out with people, being around. And Layla's an online shopper. She's got half of the gifts for the nephews and nieces and nephews already. And when you live away from family, it's easy to get it on Amazon, ship it right to them. You can get it wrapped already. So that's a lot of what we're going to do is ship our gifts to Alberta. So when we show up, we just wrap it up and get ready for the rest of the Christmas. But that's what we did last time. Is we arrived in Calgary at I think 11, had lunch at Cross Iron Mills Mall, did some final shopping, and then did a few things here and there because if you put it on a plane, you might not get it.
That's it. Yeah.
It might end up somewhere else, and heaven forbid you want to forget something. But man, I was ready to talk about MasterChef. No,
Hell's Kitchen. There was none.
There was none, and I went to watch it yesterday after the all my sports teams lost before the Oilers, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm ready to watch. And I clicked on it, and I'm like, oh, and I couldn't figure out why there. Oh yeah, Thanksgiving. There was no episode, so. Wah. Oh
well, this week
we'll
be back. Yeah.
For those that tuning in, you had your trade articles coming out. So you had one with Wildcats. What's next?
So this week I'll have a little article on the Cape Breton Eagles. A little chat with
Andrew Barrington.
No.
Okay.
It was that Andrew Barrington's future general manager. I had a chat with current general manager Sylvain Couturier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, little brief 5-minute chat, and it'll be all put together into a 300-word article.
To a 300-word article. Perfect. All right. Don't forget, as always, you can follow us on the social medias: Twitter, Moncton Wildcast, Instagram, Wildcast Podcast, TikTok, Wildcast Podcast, and don't forget to like and subscribe here on the YouTube. Click that little bell so you don't miss any of these wonderful shows. Let's do a quick question. We haven't had one of those in a while. I guess for you, sir, who's been a fan since day one, with all these events surrounding this past weekend, do you feel the Wildcats do enough to honor their history? Because when I first moved here to the Coliseum, I walked around. They had all the players up on the, not really a banner, but like kind of a banner, whatever you want to call them, window dressing. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that guy played here. Oh, I didn't know that guy played here. But now we're in the new place, almost 5 years. Is it time to kind of showcase more of the history?
I don't think it's a bad idea because we have had a lot of players that have played here that went on to, pretty good NHL careers, and some that are just getting started into their NHL careers, and you can almost use that as a recruiting tool as well. Like this is a very good place to develop players, and we have a strong history of getting players to the next level. And it's no, you're right. They had that thing at the Coliseum where it was behind, I believe, Section 6, where it was a wall. I think they call it the Wall of Fame, or I'm not sure. Where it had an action shot of all the players that had made it to the NHL, and it is missing from the Avenir Center unless it's behind the scenes that we haven't had a chance to see yet. But there's the little pull up things that they have there, and but there's really not a lot that's around the rink that makes you think that there's this player played here or that player played here and all that. So it would be nice if, given what we just went through on Friday night, if we start to see a little bit more of dedication and of what we've had in the past.
Right, because they do have some of the flags up above the doors when you walk in, and I know inside the room we've both been in there. There's the wall of all the players that have played here, and for all the players to see all the time. But, and I'm not talking about retiring jerseys every 2 years or anything like that. But even I asked you, is Brad Marchand done enough when he retires to have his number raised here? And you weren't quite sure. He's won Stanley Cups, but maybe even a Ring of Honor where you have the Oilers. To get your number retired for the Oilers, you have to be in the Hall of Fame, but they have a Ring of Honor. The Flames have Forever a Flame, I believe. And to be retired, you have to be in the Hall of Fame too as well. I think that's their standard, which is tough in the queue. But something somewhere with a Ring of Honor so that you get those players that maybe don't get their number retired, but they get honored as one of the best who ever played. They got the one wall with all the teams on it, but just something, because I know, talking about Alberta, we're getting to go home, and in the Dome, I can't remember what section's behind, but if you look up, there's a massive wall of honor that's got all the records of all the Hitman players that have come through there, and it's something cool for these new fans that you're trying to attract to see the history, because they'll recognize names that played in the NHL.
No, you're right. I'm sure it's, in terms of retired jerseys, it took so many years to get the first one. I don't even I can't even think for a while. Of how long it'll take to get the next one. But like I mentioned to you, there's 2 jersey numbers that a player hasn't worn since Connor Garland left and since Jacob Pelche left.
Yeah.
Number 8, number 11.
Yeah.
So is that an indication of maybe something that's coming down the road? I would think so. Because, if you look at it, not long after Corey Crawford wore number 29, Nicola Riopel was wearing it, just a few years later, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like they're...
It's not even like they wear it in the preseason either.
Mm.
I've never seen it.
Well, that's it. So is it just a number that they've just said, we're not letting anybody wear this?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care about cups. What Connor Garland accomplished in Moncton is worthy of having his jersey number retired.
Right.
I
think the argument for Marchand would be he's won cups.
He's won cups, but at the same time, with Marchand, he played for 3 teams, right?
Yeah.
And I think what they're focusing on right now is this is where you played your entire career. Like Crawford, Garland, like Pelche. These are guys that played their entire careers here, and they're worthy. Even though, Pelche didn't, as much as I love the guy, his numbers didn't pop out, but it was what his attitude towards the game that I think is worthy of a ceremony here down the road. And, Garland's points just speak for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that, and maybe after the first one, they wanted to see how it would go. Maybe they do get into a little bit more of something. But yeah, it was really cool to watch that ceremony. We'll get into it a little bit later in the show. But I even said to you up in the press room, like, this is the stuff I miss not being a part of history because it was playing over us again. About only living here for the past 5 years because I don't know enough about the Wildcats history. And you can do research on YouTube and look through articles and stuff like that. But it's just, be cool to have those kind of nights to re-engage the newer fans as part of the history that they have.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sure they have something planned. We have no dates.
No.
That's it.
No, we have no dates. All right, let's get some news and notes from around the cube.
News and notes from around the queue.
Bit of a lighter news segment this week. We just finished about talking prospects in the Monctonian. Now there's another QMJHL marquee event as the roster for the 2024 QMJHL Cup in Chateauguay was announced to take place December 14th to 17th. Team Samuel Montauban, Team Yanni Gord, Team Matthew Joseph, and Team Jonathan Marshall. So I said to you before we even got started, I was going to highlight this. This isn't quite the names you may hear in that first round that compete with some of the UMB teams. So just kind of explain what this tournament is in terms of the names that you're going to talk about later on in the prospects.
Yeah, so these 4 teams are basically, what was formerly known as Midget Espoir in Quebec, which is like a midget minor division. There's some Quebec high school players on there. These are players who will likely be picked, round 6 on.
Okay.
It's pretty rare that unless you dominate the midget Espoir or the midget minor division, you probably won't hear your name called before at least the 4th round. So it's this being picked for these rosters for this tournament. It's all about exposure, because yes, there are scouts that go watch some of these games, but if you want to get noticed, this is a tournament to get noticed at.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the same level as what the New Brunswick teams were?
Yeah, you could probably take a couple of those teams, bring them down to the Monctonian, and the competitiveness level would be on par. Because when, the Maritime teams go to that tournament, they get embarrassed.
Right.
Just because the level is just not the same.
And the tournament that has the top teams and the top players that you'll see in first couple rounds is the CCM Challenge, correct?
Yeah, the Gatorade, I think it's called.
Or
That's
Gatorade.
in April or May in Boisbriand.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. All right. And then we got the QMJHL Team of the Week, which is a perfect lining up as one of the teams coming this weekend had 3 names on that team. So Jeremy Minville of Gatineau had 4 goals, 2 assists in 2 games. Felix Gagnon of Baie-Comeau had 2 goals, 25 assists. I'm going to assume that's 2 assists.
That's a good week.
2 goals, 25. Yeah. 2 goals, 2 assists in 3 games. Emile Guité of Chicoutimi had 4 goals, 3 assists in 3 games. Nolan Ling had, yeah, you're looking at me for that last name, right? Yeah. Had no goals, 5 assists in 2 games. And Loic Uriso, Chicoutimi had 3 goals, 4 assists. How's that?
Well, Adam, you're what the French call les incompetents.
Yeah, that is true. The first one's Loic, isn't it?
Loic Usero.
Istero. All right, that was go. And Raphael Precourt was the goaltender for Chicoutimi, 2-0-0, 981 save percentage, and a .5 goals against average. The player of the week was Loic Uriso.
Getting better.
Of Chicoutimi, 3 goals, 4 assists, a +8, who you will see this Saturday as the Sags are here on the weekend at the end of the 5-game homestand. Yeah, that's pretty much anything. Pretty short news segment, so I guess we'll just kick into the Weekly Rewind.
Weekly Rewind.
The Wildcats go 2-1 on the weekend, bringing the record to 17-6-1-1, 36 points on the season. Good enough for 3rd in the conference still, and 2nd in the Maritime Division. Thursday, they took on the Islanders. No Loshing, but no issues, as it was finally good to see the Wildcats jump out to an early lead. They stayed with it. They didn't allow the Islanders back in the game, but I did think at 4-1, when they kind of jumped on, I think it was also Solos, the goaltender.
Ozils.
Because the night 2 weeks ago they jumped on him and he was pulled. They brought in Pickle and changed the whole game. I kind of wondered if we were going to see that again. They didn't go with the goaltending change. Moncton was able to just stay the course, and it was good to finally just have a winnable game against the Islanders and just kind of take care of business.
I think the difference is just it seems like they always struggle in Charlottetown.
True.
It's been like that for years now. The going to the East League Center or the Charlottetown Civic Center, that's what it was called before, I think, has always been a struggle for Moncton. So, but they took care of business where they had to, and there was no Loshing, but some stepped up.
Yep.
It was that's just showing the depth that this team the team has here. Doesn't matter who's out of the lineup, you can always count on someone else to take the spot and steal the show. And it was Sump that did it.
Yeah, we got to see Carrier and Denway play together. Had a good couple shifts, and I don't know, maybe if I was just ready to be wowed from their first preseason game a long time ago, but the connection just wasn't there, and I think that's the fact that they just haven't played together a whole lot coming into this season, and it didn't look as cohesive as I thought maybe it would.
Well, no, because you can tell that they're going to be playing together, in a few years, and they're going to dominate. But at the same time, you can tell there's flashes every time they're on the ice.
Right.
You can tell that they know each other, and I want to see it. Maybe not this year, but as early as next year, I'd like to see them playing a little bit more together, just to start pumping that scoreboard up a little bit.
Yeah, it was. I completely lost my train of thought on that one. So we get into Friday night. We get into the day that kind of everybody was looking forward to. It was Corey Crawford night. Obviously, before we get into the game, let's just kind of first talk about your memories of Corey Crawford.
Oh, man.
Because they had the media availability and a couple times it was mentioned the series against Rimouski, the 55 save night against Crosby and the Oceanic, and this is maybe why I talked about they should reference some of the history and put some of these highlights together more in the games. But just some of your memories on Corey Crawford.
He was one of the best. You went there, and the draft. The year he was drafted was, it's got to be one of the best draft years that the Wildcats have ever put together. I think in that same draft, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but I want to say...
What year was it?
2002? No, 2000. 2000 or 2001. Where they got Steve Bernier, they got Corey Crawford, they got Kevin Glode, they got Carl Gagne, they got Bruce Graham, they got Nathan Saunders, all in the same draft. And it was just one of those drafts that you
well, that's how you build a team.
That they absolutely knocked it out of the park. And it's just you knew that there was going to be a special team once you saw that many players came out of that draft and would end up playing for Moncton. Was it 2001?
Yeah. I can't go by Moncton teams because your
website's terrible, CHL.
Yeah, so Steve Bernier was first overall. And
I think Jasmine Real. Oh, that's Montreal, not Moncton.
Yeah, and then Crawford, I think,
14th
overall.
Yeah.
It was just such a good draft.
Carl Gagne at second round.
Yeah.
What else we got here?
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Graham in the third round.
Yeah. I think, and Kevin Glode was
third round.
Yeah. Nathan
Pelham,
Saunders was fifth round, I think. It was just such a,
good Lord, your knowledge just impresses me every time we do this.
It's just such a. It was an incredible draft, and if we could get a draft like that one again, we're in very good. We'd be in very good shape, and just. But I think it's the whole developing of the goaltender that has really been an Achilles heel for this team, and it's just.
It was funny to hear Mr. Irving say, we played you 38 times in your first year to develop you. And it's like, what happened with Lavallee and what happened with Filion and, that kind of stuff. But it was a different era back then, right? Like, you played your number one as much as you could. You played your rookie, and that's what you did. Now there's so many fitnesses and development things and on ice, off ice, analytics, all that stuff. You can't just kind of play that style anymore where you just throw out a rookie 38 times. Who knows what now should they have? Yes, but yeah, it was a good ceremony all the way around.
I was
the
really
ceremony
impressed,
itself. For Moncton have never done one. It was quite a surprise. Like, I don't think a lot of people knew the 04 team was going to be there.
No, I didn't. It's funny. They really brought out the big names. No offense, but to have a video of Christian Gaudette,
who lives here,
we thought lived here.
Yeah.
Carl Gagne, Bruce Graham, who I thought lived here.
He was working in Honda.
Yeah, it just seemed like the obvious ones. Steve Bernier, who works for the Wildcats, wasn't even in the building. I don't think. But it was. That's not the only one I want to see. You guys give up. I'm thirsty for more.
Yeah, exactly.
I want more of these, and I think it was. I'll talk about it a little more in the show, but all in all, I thought the ceremony was really well done.
Yep. And I didn't go to the game on Sunday, so I'm not sure where they moved the banner to. I don't think they're going to keep it where it was, but it was a nice banner, and yeah, it was just a good day, a good vibe in the rink all the way around, and it was a good hockey game. I'm sure if you asked the two coaches, probably wasn't a good hockey game for them. If you ask the goalie coaches, probably not the best hockey game, but you got 5,000 in attendance, 6-5 Wildcats win. Arguably the best 20 minutes of hockey I've seen that team play at home all year in that first 20 minutes. But again, they got out to the hot start, and I don't want to say they went into a sit-back mentality, but, you kind of mentioned it. The Huskies made a few adjustments, and Moncton couldn't really get back into it. They kept finding the next goal to not allow Rouyn-Noranda to tie it, but it just seemed like there was just something amiss in that final 40 minutes, and they held on.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned it, because it's not the first time I've said it. It's not the first time where they've gotten the next one. It's that seems to be what they're able to do this year. Is in previous years they would tighten up and choke, whereas this year they go out and get the next one. If it's a 1-goal game, they'll go out and make it a 2-goal game, and then obviously, Moncton got that late power play with Anthony Turcotte with the checking from behind penalty. I can just imagine him getting back to the bench and the coach looking at him and like, "Look what you did, you little jerk," and that ends up being the game-winning goal. And I have to say this because I think it's true. If it was a 65-minute game, I don't think Moncton holds on, because even when there was 2.6 seconds left and there was that offensive zone face-off, and they still managed to get a shot on goal that Steinman had to make a save at the final buzzer. So it was one of those cases where I think you're kind of fortunate it was a 60-minute game and not a 61 or a 62.
Yeah, and I updated the stats Thursday-wise. So we actually finally got a victory on Thursday. So we're now 1-3 on Thursdays. Still outscored 24-9, but hey, we got a win. And versus the preseason contenders, we got the 6-5 victory. We ended up losing to Halifax 4-0. So we're now 2-5, but we brought the shots being outscored down to 32-15. So I like the compete level against Rouyn, and we said it last week. You said 3 points. I said I wanted 4. I said we have the top 9 to play with Rouyn-Noranda, and that's exactly what we got with Loshing being back for that one. So our top line was going. The Sumpf, Smith, and Auger line, the ass line, not in a bad way. That's 3 good lines that you can put out against pretty much anyone, and they'll be able to compete. And that's what I like to see that they did against Rouyn-Noranda. Is they were able to put out 3 lines and keep things moving. And then, of course, Jacob Steinman channeling is in a Corey Crawford on the night with 44 saves on the night.
Yeah, and it was, again, one of those nights where they got the scoring when they needed it. They also took some silly penalties. There was probably some penalties that weren't penalties.
Yeah.
There was probably, but at the same time, they did a big game from Auger. They had a wicked shot from Miles Mueller. Yeah. I didn't know he could shoot like that.
No, and just as the power play ended too, and that was a big one because Rouyn was kind of getting back into that one, and I think it was 3-2 at that point. And they don't score that one, and maybe Rouyn is able to tie this thing up, and it's a completely different hockey game. But the resolve, and we talked to Miles right after, and he kind of mentioned it. They got beat pretty handily on Rouyn's home ice, and which is a smaller type rink. And I'm not saying that because they're on the big ice, it was a difference, but it was good to see Moncton on the second end of a back-to-back compete and play well against the team that they may have to see down the line.
No, for sure, and I mean this in the nicest way. I wasn't very impressed with Rouyn. I think they've got some work to do.
Yeah.
If they want to, be in the finals and at least make it past the second or third round.
They went 1-2 on the road trip.
Yeah, William lost to Bathurst.
Yeah.
William Russo, for someone who was up against the best goalie in the league last year in the playoffs, landed a couple of softies.
He did, and I said it on the live. I think we took advantage of a Russo that wasn't very, you know, Memorial Cup.
Russo-ish.
Yeah, Memorial Cup winning Russo.
Yeah.
Because I think he had the first one, was it? Who had the first goal of the game? Mercier was a good shot. The second one they had one called back that kind of went through his arm and got a bit of a quick whistle. And then the Auger one ended up kind of going through his 5-hole, which kind of dribbled in. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was the fact that it was the first game after the long bus trip. Maybe it could have been some bus lags, whatever you want to call it. But that's the type of game that Moncton's got to take advantage of. They did. They got the 4 points to start the road, the homestand 2-0, and then Sunday. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered if you were playing Halifax, Val-d'Or, the St. John Vito's, the Dieppe Flyers. It didn't matter who they were playing. I'm sorry, Moncton was not going to win that hockey game, and I'm not talking about a competitive standpoint. I'm just, when you're so emotionally high on Friday after beating a team that beat you 6-0, one of the top 4 contenders. It is a jersey retirement night. There's a lot of buzz in the building. We heard it when we were down talking to Miles, and you know, that building and Mercier. They were pumped after the win. It didn't matter who they were playing. There's always going to be that emotional letdown. You hope that because they play the Mooseheads and the divisional opponent, that'll kind of get them energized, but it just didn't, and they were in tough.
No, for sure, and it's probably a good thing that we didn't go to the game, Adam, because, you know, from sitting up at that press box, I can only imagine, you know, what we'd be saying, you know, about those players, and, you know, if they could hear us from up there, they'd probably be like, you know, down here, you big horse's ass, come and get me before I call the police. You know, it's we probably would have had some choice words for the team, but at the same time, like you said, it was one of those games where I didn't expect them to win. It would have been nice to win, because a regulation win would have put Moncton right back in a tie with the Mooseheads, are first in the division, and now it's now it's a 4-point difference. So your work cut out. You know, it's this is a team that I predicted would win the Maritimes division, and you know, I know it's only a 4-point difference, and Halifax is probably going to lose a couple of guys to World Juniors, a couple big names to the World Juniors, and so if there's at the same time Moncton will as well, but not the reigning CHL MVP or QMJHL MVP,
or not your number 1 defenseman.
Yeah,
I think Moravec can still go, right?
No, he's 20.
He's 20.
Yeah. But, you know,
I wasn't sure when his birthday lined up.
You've got to have Mathis Russo on as one of the 4 goalies that go to camp.
Oh, yeah.
If they take 4, they might just say, here's 3, and you're all on the team.
I think he should make it.
I think he's got an invite.
Yeah. He's had a heck of a year. As much as we make, you know, light of him and whatnot, he's one of the top 3 goaltenders, I believe, in the country.
You know, and you're right. He's got a chance, and you know, he's probably going to be the only one that goes there that's undrafted, NHL undrafted. So he's just got to go to camp and, you know, be like, you know, this is it. Don't get scared now, and just play his game. Play your game. I see no reason why he should not get an invite.
Yeah, because we don't now play Halifax until January 14th. So. If we're going to catch them, we got to catch. If we want to catch them before the trade period, we're going to have to do it by taking care of our business. And I always enjoy going to the games, but I just was kind of under the weather, and I kind of knew that this one was going to be the letdown, the come down game. Yeah. So I just
calm down.
Yeah. But yeah, Halifax walked in, took the 2 points, and said, "Keep the change, you filthy animals." And
say goodnight, Kevin.
Yep, and walked.
Good night, Kevin.
Walked right out of there. But what's funny is I was looking, because we're only 4 points behind them, and we know Halifax is going to make some moves, right? So we're 4 points behind them, 17-6 and 1. Halifax 19-5 for 40 points. At the same time last year, so I went to the 29th because, funny enough, we played these exact 2 teams on the exact same Fridays and Sundays, in November. When you look at the schedule, played around on the Friday night at home. We played Halifax. God. That was the game that we got down 4-0 and came all the way back.
Right.
But I found that kind of funny that we played the exact same team. So last year, Moncton was 6 points behind Halifax at this point. Halifax was 14-7 with 31 points, and Moncton was 12-10 with 25 points. But I don't think they had Lawrence at this point, did they?
It was around this time. It was right after the Monctonian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were 6 points behind them. We kind of know what happened last year. They obviously took off, and Moncton made some deals. So it will be interesting to see the next couple weeks for this hockey club because you want to keep pace with Moncton. They have a chance with the schedule. So we're gonna look at the preview. They've got St. John coming in on Thursday for the Hockey Fights Cancer Night. The one game that Sunday against Chicoutimi, I hate missing games, especially when it's against Quebec teams because
we never see them.
So schedule maker and / Christmas party didn't help on these 2 weeks. But
so this is the this Saturday is the
that's the cat.
Yeah. Podcast Christmas party, but at separate
at separate venues.
Locations. Yeah.
So they've got St. John, they've got Chicoutimi, then they've got on the road they go to Sherbrooke, Quebec, Shawinigan, 3-3, Bathurst, Cape Breton. There is a definite chance this team can win out. Now we're probably going to miss Mueller come up this weekend. I don't even know if he'll play against Chicoutimi. Depends when he leaves, I guess.
That's too early. I think
depends when they want their camp though.
It won't be until
you don't think so?
The week after at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're gonna lose some, so we're gonna lose a couple players.
Yeah.
But they've got a definite chance to run the table, and then you get into some really interesting trade talks.
Yeah. Getting into the trade talks, I mean, my interview with Richie last week, and the one I had with Sylvain Couturier, I mean, these two were on the same page. They were saying the exact same things. They were saying that the players that are available are costing an astronomical amount, and they're not willing to pay it.
And you had a couple of those because you highlighted a top 10 in one of your article, right?
Yeah. So by the sounds of it, I mean, Tristan Luneau probably going to play for Team Canada, probably going to get sent back to the queue, but, it would be a huge mistake for Gatineau not to trade him.
Yeah.
It would be a huge mistake for Gatineau not to trade Sam Savoie, when he's back from his injury. There's players out there that they should be traded, but apparently teams want top dollar for them, and if they have to trade them, it would be a huge mistake not to. And it would be funny if Gatineau has Luneau and Savoie after Christmas. It would be funny if it's just I can't imagine it, but it could very well just be GM talk, where they just don't want to give too much away, and
right.
Maybe these two are just maybe they're fighting for the same players, and they're just not wanting the budge, and they're saying that the price is too high because they think they have the best offer on the table, and blah 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 blah, and
because you can only trade people if you find the right partner. And
next thing you know, they're in a fight, and he started it. He ate my pizza on purpose.
Yeah. No, exactly.
He knows I hate sausage and olives and onions and
don't fill up on Pepsi. Don't just fill up on Pepsi. Yeah. Halifax's schedule though, they got Rennes and Drummondville coming up in there.
I like that
in their games.
Yeah.
So they head out on the road trip now. They got Blainville, Val-d'Or, and Rennes on that road trip, and then they come home. First game's against Drummondville, Gatineau, and then they got Bathurst, St. John. So
yeah, that's a tough road trip for Halifax, and it's going to be a big test too. Going up against Rouen, that small neutral zone, and against Drummondville, and just Sandy don't visit the funeral homes, little buddy. So they gotta, if they want to pull away and make me eat crow about my Maritimes division prediction, they're gonna have to win these games. Yeah,
they got 9. They got 9 left before the Christmas trade period. So we got 7. So there is a chance to make up some ground on them, but we'll have to see. When you look at the two teams, St. John, Chicoutimi, personally, I would like to see Steinman play against St. John. And the reason, there's no easy games in the queue, but he just went against Halifax, ran around a back-to-back. at some point, you kind of want to give him, I don't want to say a night off, but you want to make the matchup a little easier for him. Instead of, it's tough to be the number one guy and only get the tough matchups every time. I would like to see him take on St. John. I'd like to see Keegan Warren go against Chicoutimi and see him against a different team that's right there with us, a talented different team. I kind of wondered if maybe Keegan was going to get Halifax, but I think the way they were coming off that big game, maybe if there wasn't a ceremony with Rouen and it was a regular Friday night, maybe Keegan would have played against there to give him a shot against a tougher team. But I think this is the week where you can kind of give Steinman the night against St. John and then give Keegan the night against Chicoutimi, who I think is only 6 points behind us, which is
they're getting it.
A real good test for him.
Yeah, they're starting to turn it around, and
6 points behind us.
St. John, it's a rivalry game, and obviously there's no fighting, but how about we just slap him in the face with a paint can, or shove a nail through their foot.
Yeah,
you got to find ways to. If you can't fight in this league, you got to find a way to
shove nails in their foot.
Yeah, burn the head with a blowtorch. You got to find ways to get past these games, the rival games, and this could be a very well game where maybe they look ahead to the game against Chicoutimi and maybe don't come out and play their 60 minutes. And I mean, I think we joked about the Rouen game, 30-minute ceremony, and so the game was 30 minutes late, and they played their best 20 minutes of the season, right?
That's true.
So maybe we should just start, like I said. I think I've said this to you before. Next season, when the schedule comes out, I would love for Friday night games to be at 7:30.
Yeah,
I don't care about Saturday. Weeknights, 7 p.m., that's fine. Friday nights, 7:30. It gives the parents and the families enough time to get home, have a bite to eat, and get to the rink and not feel rushed. Or bring their family out for supper before the game, help the economy out, and then go to the game.
Yeah, you have said that. It'd be interesting to see if that's something that they end up doing, end up bringing. But basically, to end this, this is our house. We have to defend it in these final 2 games. You've started the 5-game swing. This is the longest homestand they're going to have, I do believe, this season. Yep. This is the longest homestand of the season. So you're 2-1 now. Get out of this thing at 4-1 at the least. Makes your home record look just that much better as you go into the kind of last month of the season, because before we even got on here, looking stats wise, first of all, shocked the power play was number 2 overall in the league, and the team that's number 1 is the team that's coming in on Saturday in Chicoutimi at 29.5%. But the record. My computer's being really slow, which is really bugging me today. Where was it here?
Well, it makes you feel any better. I forgot my reading glasses.
You did. So leading after 1, Moncton's 12-0. Leading after 2, 15-0. 5-1 after 2 periods. When tied after 2 periods. After 1 period, sorry. 2-0-1 when tied. But when they're trailing, 0-5 and 0-6 after 2 periods. So something where if Moncton can get up and get started and get a lead after 40 minutes, they lock it down. And against Chicoutimi, they're 8-0 when leading after 1 and 11-1 when leading after 2. And 1-7 when trailing after 20 minutes, and 1-7 when trailing after 2. So get on top of them and take care of business, and you should come away with 2 points. But this, you want to catch Halifax coming into the trade deadline. I don't want to say you want to put the pressure on Richie coming into the trade deadline and maybe reward you with a couple players. And again, I don't even know where you reward in this team. Maybe an older defenseman, but depth-wise, 1 through 9, even 1 through 12, where do you go? Right? That's...
We're the 4th youngest team in the league.
Yeah.
I mentioned that in my article. 17.88 years of age.
Yeah.
Crazy. And like Richie said, more experience. You can't go wrong with more experience. But how are you going to bring in more experience when you've got roster? You're almost going to have to if you want to get more experience and get older, you almost have to trade away a young roster player and bring in an older roster player, right?
Which doesn't always make sense.
No, because at that point, who are you going to drop?
Yeah,
there's if you look at the forward group, there's how many forwards we got on the team?
14.
14?
Yeah. Yeah, because you got 12 and you got 13, because you got Delorier usually.
Isn't it 15?
Forwards?
Yeah.
No, I think there's just 12.
Well, it's 14 or 15. Well, if you look at the forward group, there's 15 people in the house, and the only one that has to make trouble, is the one that has to be the odd man out, right? It's I thought there was 15, maybe not. 14 sounds right.
Yeah, 14.
Yeah, so that's it. Like, if you want more experience in this lineup, you have to. You're going to have to. What is it? Add by addition by subtraction.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't just go and change Sidney Delorier's birth certificate.
No.
Right, and say, oh, he's not 17, he's 19.
Yeah,
that's not going to work.
Sorry, there's 14 because Samson and Delorier are usually the two.
You can't just go and change birth certificates around, and so you have to look at, if you want an older back end, if you want an older forward group, you're going to have to take somebody out to bring somebody in.
But you can't just look at it for the second half of this season. That older player has to make sense for your roster next season.
Yep.
And what you're doing at the draft in what is supposed to be our all-in goal for a year.
You're not going to go and trade a Desnoyers or a Carrier.
No.
You're not going to go... I mean, there's 17-year-olds on the team that could very well could fetch you a return, and then you use those assets to go get somebody else. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing I can think about at this point, to go get yourself older. Because then, you trade a 17-year-old and you go get yourself an 18-year-old, well, then you're going from 17.88 maybe to 18.01.
Yeah.
Sure, you're older, but so that's, I think, kind of the approach is maybe they're looking at some current roster players that might be better suited on a younger team, believe it or not. Yeah. Who they could immediately, instead of playing like a fourth line, they go and play a third or a second line immediately, and it's gonna be tough. But I don't want to
You also have to worry about what happened last year, right?
I don't want to overpay.
No, you don't want to overpay, and what happened last year? I mean, they moved out a couple guys, and it seemed like the locker room just kind of didn't fracture or anything like that, but they kind of went on the 9-game losing streak, and they couldn't figure it out in the second half. And the team's going well. You want to reward them with players this year that can help them get into the third round, which is kind of the success that we want to see the trajectory go. Mm-hmm. But at what
cost?
Right? What expense in your locker room are you doing that to, right?
Yeah.
Like, making a move just for the sake of making a move doesn't make a lot of sense, and we've seen Richie not do that either. Mm-hmm. He's been pretty good at being pretty analytical on what guys he wants to move out and the reasons for that. Whether fans like it or not, he's got reasons for it, and it's working out. They're 17-6-1. They're third in the league right now as the fourth youngest team in the league. So it's going to be a very interesting 2 weeks, especially if they kind of, knock on wood, run the table. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at one of the top 3 teams in the league. Everyone is going to be looking at Moncton to see what moves they make to stay with Halifax, to stay with Baie-Comeau, to stay with Rouyn-Noranda. Mm-hmm. And if the moves aren't there, that kind of puts a different round of pressure. But hey, we've got a whole month to get to that point.
That's right. And we know how Richie talked about last some of the late nights that he's had. It's he's been awake 60 hours. He's tired. He's dirty. He's been from Chicago to Paris to Dallas, and sometimes he's like, where the hell am I?
Oh man, yeah. I just 1 year, I want to sit in the room. I'll sign an NDA. I'll leave my phone outside. I just want to sit in there and be part of those transactions and just listen to how those things get made. That is just the most fascinating part to me is how these trades, and I know they're not going to get made on the, if I was able to go there and sit there for 48 hours, they're not going to be made in that 48 hours. But just to hear how these things go, I think that would just be absolutely fascinating. So, yeah, I'll leave my phone out. I'll sign an NDA. I just want to be part of it and kind of hear how this stuff goes about. Are you ready for everyone's favorite part of the show?
Oh, sure.
Eric Murray, Realtor. Buy a house from him. Stick Tap of the Week.
Well, speaking of Eric Murray, we'd like to congratulate Eric Murray on his fourth year of service with the Remax Avante Group. So congratulations, Eric. Wonderful accomplishment. Merry Christmas, sweetheart. And for this Stick Pack of the Week, it's, I mentioned it earlier, we've watched, these jersey retirements on TV before.
Yeah.
I've never experienced one in person. And Adam is
either,
agreeing
actually.
that he's never seen one either. So, I went into this not knowing what to expect. There's been players come back to Moncton and they get a little video tribute, and there's a 5-second ovation that's so quiet you don't even know what happened. Mm-hmm. And that's the last thing I wanted this ceremony to be like. I looked at you at the start and I was like, what's your over-under on the length of this ceremony? I said 8.5 minutes.
I said 17.
Yeah. And I was looking at the stopwatch on my phone. I'm like, I'm seeing this number just go up and go up and go up and go up to the point where it got to 25 minutes. And I was like, wow, they're really, really doing this really well.
Yeah.
So for first timers, I think it's the Stick Tap of the Week is worthy to go to the Wildcats for what they were able to put together. Mm-hmm. I thought it was extremely well done. The bringing in the family, his entire family, his parents even. I saw his mom chugging a glass of wine, in the second intermission of that game. She was clearly having a good time.
I think his billets were there too.
Yeah, his billets were there. Some of the former teammates were there. His kids were there. His wife was there. It was really, really, really well done. And they've really set the bar. If there's any further ones down the road, it's gonna be tough to beat.
Yep.
So I think they did really well. I was super impressed. So good job to the Wildcats for putting that together, and you really knocked it out of the park.
The Stick Tap of the Week, sponsored by Eric Murray Real Estate with the Remax Avante team. If you're looking to buy or sell a home in the Greater Moncton or surrounding area, make sure to check him out on social media or give him a call at 506-863-8802.
I just wanted him to get on the mic and be like, fucking rights, Moncton! like his Stanley Cup celebration in Chicago. But that brings us to the Wildcast of the Week, presented by Rosemary Lynn Massage and Spa. Right now until December 2nd, they've got 30% off all facial treatments as well. Don't forget they have the loyalty card. So when you book 9 spa services, you get one free. If you want to take advantage of this, call to book your appointment 506-830-1224. Or book with them in person at 1224 Mountain Road. This one goes to a player that hasn't had the best start to the year by his standard. He's been up and down the lineup. Tough to find some chemistry in this past week. When he was paired with Sump and Smith, he had 2 assists versus the Isles, 2 big goals against the Huskies on Friday. Seems to be finding his game with those 2 players, which gives us 3 great lines. He was the CHL Game of the Week, Player of the Game with 2 goals. The Wildcat of the Week. I don't know about you. We're feeling 22. Thomas Auger. That will do it for this episode presented by Appliance Solutions. Don't forget they've got the Black Friday deals till December 6th. Waiting for, there it is, the Black Friday kitchen event. Save $150 when you purchase 2 qualifying kitchen appliances. $300 when you purchase 3 or more qualifying kitchen appliances. As well, the laundry savings event. Save $100 when you purchase 2 Whirlpool or Maytag laundry appliances.
What's next? Rabies shots for the Easter Bunny?
Maybe. What's next? Don't forget, tomorrow is Hockey Fights Cancer Night at the Avenir Center. The Wildcats will have their lavender jerseys that they will likely auction off at the end of the game. And then Saturday, the Chicoutimi Saguenay are in town. Jeremy and I will not be there, as it is the Wildcast Christmas party at different places. Yep. Where's yours at?
Irishtown.
Nice. Just randomly in Irishtown? Or?
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Oh, just at a house in Irishtown.
Nice. Mine's Sophie and Spritz.
Probably a fancy orphanage.
For Jeremy, I'm Adam. See you next week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Wildcast Podcast. Follow us on social media at Moncton Wildcast.